Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Yes, it is the actual holiday of Memorial Weekend. And absolutely, yesterday was very aggressive. And I definitely did release demons this morning. And I did have to blow my nose really hard this morning. And I feel great. That's just what it takes. So let's just get into this pretty quick, or at least right to the point here. So to the gentleman who emailed me, thank you so much for the email. I appreciate it. I pretty much know what's going on with all the surveillance stuff and all the different campaigns to galvanize people and lead people in a very specific direction. And so being right is great, but in reality, it's surviving the transition, surviving being right. And if you watch all my different videos, it's being right is like really irrelevant. It's just, how do you survive this transition, stay alive, and become what the system wants you to become, which is, yeah, diverse, but tolerant and relatively peaceful. And, what else? Intellectual or intelligent, and not, yeah, and peaceful, and yeah, complying with certain things, and then strengthening your body, your mind, and your spirit, because we did come from a world that was developed for a reason. Okay, there was programming attached. There were so many things attached to the old world and the way we did things. And now that we're transitioning to a new world, the old ways are not going to be applicable anymore. So then you have to survive the environment. And so there's a lot of psychological campaigns. There's a lot of biophysical campaigns going on. And there's a lot of intellectual campaigns going on. And so whenever you're in a war, just remember Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War. War is all about deception, but you then have to be smarter than the deceivers out there. And is that wrong to be deceptive? If you're not smart enough to see through the deceptions, then it's not wrong. It's just your reality. If you choose to believe something without looking at all sides of an issue, all the arguments, then you've made a choice, because there's always been some conflicting argument out there. You have one argument about this, then there was always going to be the opposite of that, and then examine why that exists. And even the opposite of the opposite, and the opposite of the opposite. And then you bring in other elements that create other opposites, or develop other opposites. And then you have to examine all the arguments. And then coming off biased in this society, then you realize that there's no point in doing that, because it's all relative to intention. And so when I saw that in the UK, they're now giving, they're giving compensation for any injuries because of certain therapies that were out there. I'll tell you this, that's another psychological campaign. And so then when the system says, okay, we're going to allow you to have that belief and even give you some credibility that correlation equals causation. And then now you're allowed to be right versus not allowed to be right 3 years ago. Does it still make it any better? Even if you get compensated for what they think was a correlation equals causation type of injury, does it make it any better if the person either has already died and you are also dying on your way out the door, have given your blood, sweat, and tears to campaigns that never give you really a return on longevity? Does being right and getting money for being right make the outcome any better? No, it doesn't. You just now been had. Okay? And so being right doesn't mean shit in our society, because you could be wrong one day and then tomorrow you could be right. So what's the point of being wrong or right? But that is a psychological operation. If you understand the bigger picture, then it won't matter if you're wrong or right, because you still have to survive, because the outcome, being wrong or right, in the old world was death. It was, the intention was death at some point. Okay? So were you actually correct universally, or did the system allow you to believe you were correct universally? Okay? And so now you'll see the system give you absolution by finally saying you are correct about something. You made correlation equals causation. So were you right and were they wrong, and vice versa? It doesn't matter if you have no control of your own genes and you can't release demons. It won't even matter. That's the thing about anyone that says, okay, I'm going to get compensation for something that was injurious, or what I thought was injurious, or what they could prove was correlation equals causation. And so then what? So now you have some money. You're going to go blow it on more of your super antibiotics because you're afraid of the symptoms. You're just putting that money right back into the system, or you're going on a bunch of trips, or buying more baubles. You're not going to put that money towards longevity and saving it so you can have some platform to rebuild your body. No, you're going to buy more shit for your grandkids. You're going to buy more shit for other people that are going to then develop more of the issues that you were all right about, right? And so this whole thing with, oh, I won money because of, I thought correlation equals causation, made a big difference, and it didn't, because the outcome is still going to be the same. Grandma, you're going to pass away. Your kids are going to pass away. Your grandkids are going to pass away. No one's done anything different, and they all feel smug that they were right 2 years ago. And the system is now giving you the allowance to be right and them being wrong. But in the end, your whole genetic line is already compromised, and you're not going to change. Grandma, you're not going to change. Some of you who are so invested in being right or being wrong, whatever, they are not going to change, and the outcome will still be the same. Even when they were right and then they were told they were wrong, and they're right today, and the system said, okay, we were wrong, the outcome is still going to be the same. Grandma, you are going to deteriorate, so are your kids, and so are your grandkids. So then what was it all for? It was psychological. But you can't tell someone that who has been so invested in these anti-V campaigns. You can't tell them that. They're going to be going over the cliff with everybody else, and you can't say anything. You just got to be like, yeah, whatever. So what was it, Jillian? What was that? Why were people having issues? So many factors. So many factors that you can't really pinpoint one specific factor. But I will say this, the seasons that were changing even before all of this stuff going on was a factor in instability, causing cold and flu season, causing spring allergy season, all the instability of the weather, the climate changing even before climate change was a thing. That was the foundation of people bringing up inflammation and all the different instability and causing them to release demons and infect somebody else, and then develop antibiotics and other medicines to close up people's systems systematically. But now when you accelerate the changing of the seasons and you make them happen once a week, once a day, you've just taken cold and flu season, allergy season, and put them on steroids. And that's why you're seeing so much craziness in the population, of which then you're going to react to with all of your starvation and super antibiotics. And so that's really the basis of it. But that on top, the climate changing exponentially on top of your belief systems around the medical holistic system is why everyone is deteriorating and dropping like flies. But again, that's been ingrained in families for fucking generations. Can you really take that out of a family? No. I mean, you could try, but people are too invested in their baubles, looking hot, distractions, activism, starvation, their mommy and me groups, being a granola hippie chick or hippie dude, blaming someone. I mean, yeah. So it's pretty crazy. But it doesn't matter if you're right or not, if you're not going to reverse the situation on your own anyways, right? So absolution never fixes anything if you don't have control over your own microbes. Even being wrong was right because it was set up for you to be right later on. Like Bob Dylan said, the losers would become the winners. He knew. It won't make a difference for many people. They will feel vindicated and still die anyways, which was the intention as well. Absolution was never going to give you the freedom. That's a contrived freedom. That's politics. That's religion. That's science. That's psychological operations. But at least now you feel better, right? Even if you and your family still die anyways. Oh, you're vindicated and you can go to your grave knowing that you're right. Okay. I suppose paying people to pass away is better than not paying them, right? When it's all about the money, it doesn't matter where it comes from. So that's really the crux of it all, is those that are like wanting to blame people for all their situations and sue somebody for their own predisposed issues and lack of evolution. I guess really money was the thing. It wasn't about life or quality of life. It was about, you want money. You want absolution. You want to feel guilt-free for not evolving. You want to lay the blame somewhere else. Oh, and believe me, the system will give you that. And they will be so gentle and full of love, love, love. Here, yes. Oh, I'm so sorry you were injured. What can we do to make it better for you? You want some money? You want a nice drug so you can feel better for all of your lifestyle and belief systems? And you'll have people, beautiful people with their bedside manner, gently caressing you into the afterlife. And they'll give you absolution. They'll even give you a priest or a rabbi or a star seed to be like, yeah, you were right. And now it's time to silently drift off into wherever, into parts unknown. That's the love, 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 people. Giving you absolution. And so, yeah, yesterday, frequency shift. I started sneezing, blowing my nose. Yeah, the frequencies caused the instability and then the replication. And then I had to release the demons. So I can now see that correlation equals causation. Because even this morning I was sneezing. I knew it's this whole weekend it's aggressive. And it's going to be even more aggressive as we get into June, which will be the start of hurricane season. So you're going to see and the oceans are warming up. Hurricanes and storms are going to be exponential. Oh, people don't even realize. I mean, they know, but they don't know. They don't care. I don't know, whatever. But that's the thing, you know. The oceans, even the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, Jesus, the Gulf of Mexico. Right over there in the Gulf, the southern states are going to be fucking decimated by all these crazy-ass storms. Okay? The oceans are warming up. We're in an El Nino pattern, and it's going to be aggressive. And it's just begun. This is, right now, the calm before the storm. We haven't had really a major event of anything lately. Oh, just wait, it's not over yet. Right now I could feel the heat. And yes, the heat is warming up the ocean waters. And so I can now see correlation equals causation. The frequencies are what makes people evolve, and yes, sickness, and also warm up the waters. Update. I woke up from a nap. Heart is still racing, but good. I ate some food before the nap. Nothing is poison out there. It's just how you deal with the instability in your environment. Obviously, anything not FDA approved is literal poison if you eat it. Today is Sunday, or yesterday was Sunday, and it's very aggressive. Many people are too distracted to notice because they're doing their barbecues or out there boating, fishing, doing whatever, which, okay, fine. Or they're celebrating the holiday in some manner, or they're at Sunday school, or at the churches. But I definitely felt the frequencies when I was doing those Facebook Lives yesterday. Doing that Facebook Live, I felt the energy, and I felt it even in the afternoon, and even when I woke up from my nap. So those frequencies were going on all day, and I was eating a lot of food. I ate a lot of food yesterday. My husband and I hung out last night when we came back from fishing, and we were just watching videos on the destruction of, the deterioration of some of the cities because of industry. Yeah, the industrial age is over now. We're in another industrial age. Not say the industrial age, but the steel, yeah. Like Gary, we're watching videos on Gary, Indiana, and the deterioration of like Gary, and even like watching people go through even my town, Canton, Ohio, and parts of it are coming up and also deteriorating, and then even Akron, Ohio, and all that. So we're watching videos on people going through with their cars and cameras and going like, hey, look at this. But yeah, going through Gary, Indiana on YouTube was like, wow, you're seeing that city having like looking like Detroit. Okay. And so yeah, we hung out, and then I'm like, and even after going for a nap, I still went to bed and fell asleep at the same time, up at 3 a.m, blowing my nose, literally blowing my nose. And then of course releasing demons this morning. And I'm just like, God, this is a lot of work to not close up. There's a lot of work to not have all those proteins block up different air passageways. Like, you literally have to fight to keep your system open. You have to fight to stay alive in this environment. This is going to test so many people, and some will not pass the test. And so you just give them their absolution, but some have the possibility to survive this. And so in this environment, you literally have to fight to keep everything open in your body so it doesn't close up and suffocate you. And that's why I blow my nose in the middle of the night, every night, even because not all the time, but yesterday when it was so aggressive, absolutely. The body goes through an energy conversion, and it produces all these proteins to give you the leverage to push out the poop and all the other waste material that is in the body, because you have 69 trillion microbes, and some are more influential than others relative to the algorithms. And so you could have so much life produced in one part of the body. It's not poison, but you just have to control the life in your body so no one microbe or one colony of microbe takes over another. Okay? And so that's why when there's algorithms that come in from particle acceleration and climate change and heating up of the atmosphere, and there's excessive growth in your body, just because your life, you have to regulate that with opening up your system and blowing your nose and pulling the poop out and whatever else, and eating to give your body the fuel it needs to produce those proteins so you can leverage the things that are out of control without turning to aggressive elements. Okay? And so that's when I was thinking like, oh, I have a question for the chemtrail activists out there. You don't have to answer, but it's a rhetorical question. Excuse me. If you know those chemical particles amplifying the weather also have very specific elements that would also be in your detoxes, supplements, tinctures, such as the herbs, the extracts, the essential oils, the zeolite, and other powders like bentonite clay and diatomaceous earth, amplifying entropy. Why? And entropy is the breaking apart, right? Okay. Why would demonizing your food supply be the answer, and telling people not to eat certain foods or all the foods? Why would starvation be the answer? Okay, so I realized that all the detoxes and the herbs and the extracts and all the pills and the powders and the supplements and all the things that people are using to fight poisons, okay, is also in the skies, in the chemtrails, in the particles. I mean, you see the people in the chemtrails who are like, oh, look, barium. Oh, look, mercury. Oh, look, this. Okay, they're elements. They're elements that you have those trace minerals, trace elements in your body to keep things going. You have that in the atmosphere to accelerate, amplify the weather and the heat and the rain and the storms and all that. And then you are an activist promoting the detoxes, the herbs, the extracts, the zeolite, all the different essential oils. What else? The bentonite clays, the diatomaceous earth, all of your tinctures, essential oils. I think I said that before. Tinctures. And so then what are you doing? You're amplifying the storms in your body, because that's all heavy metals. And then you're advocating people stop the body's processes from releasing, because you're taking all those different medicines to stop the body from the energy of release. And then on top of that, tell people to be afraid of coffee and cream and milk and meat and cheese and eggs and fruits and vegetables, and only eat out of your organic garden, which is then having all the rain and the chemtrails taint your organic garden. Does that even make sense? So if you know that HAARP and CERN and Wi-Fi might contribute to the amplification of entropy, and also excessive negentropy. Entropy is a breaking apart. Negentropy is bringing together, right? Cellular growth of our study, because electricity can do that on a body that doesn't respond properly. Why would you respond with starvation? I mean, you've studied this information for at least 10 to 20, 30 years, ever since somebody dropped a seed in your lap about the changes in the future. Why would you think starvation during this highly evolutionary transition be the answer? And then you're seeing your kids breaking bones. Their bones are brittle. They're getting early osteoporosis. And of course, they have to grow, but they're growing in deficit. Not only are they extremely malnourished and skinny, but their bones are porous to the point where they can't do too much because they might break a bone. And of course, they lack reinforcement in their adipose tissue, not enough fat, because mommy took away gluten and sugar and everything else. So now they're subject to the frequencies of which then quick reaction time, and they could have a short in their bioelectrical system and die from a heart attack or a stroke on the field. Because yeah, mommy wants to get them into all the sports too, while they're in deficit in a highly amplified environment, with food withheld from them because they're afraid of the poisons. You see what's going on here, right? And so why would you think starvation during this highly evolutionary transition be the answer? Okay, so let me just give you a tiny little bit of a biological lesson, because we have people in the anti-V world go like, well, I have an immune system. I have an immune system. Why are you taking all the V's if you have an immune system? Well, you also have a filtration system, Mr. Anti-V person. Do you know what's in the V's? People are like all afraid of, like, oh my God, mercury is a highly toxic. Yeah, anything that is in a condensed form, not in a trace form, is highly toxic. Having too much water in your system, where it's drowning you from all the electrolytes and everything, could drown you. It's highly toxic when you have too much water, when you drown from water. And so why is there mercury or other types of amplifying minerals in the V's? Because it develops immunological responses to make the V's work the way it was intended, to develop antibodies, just like your immune system. But if you claim you have an immune system, that's great. Some people have compromised immune systems. But even then, not everything is going to be universal or end up as expected. So then you have the blame game. But you also have a filtration system, Mr. Anti-V, okay? You have an immune system. If the government wanted to destroy you, like all out, we would have we'd have a reason for nuclear war. The U.S. would be obliterated by our said enemy, okay? If they wanted to really destroy everybody. All they have to do is just develop a storyline and a reason, and then China, Russia, North Korea would do whatever they would do, and we'd expect it because there've always been tensions. So if they wanted you dead, you'd be dead. So shut up. All right? Anything FDA approved has never been poisoned. Maybe you have the deficits that you never learned how to respond to efficiently, because you already know that we're in a depopulation agenda, but you're given a choice how to respond to evolution. So then why is starvation on the table? I will never understand that in the activist world, regardless as to whatever platform you stand on. And I can name all the platforms, but I'm not going to, because I'll get distracted. So this is why the J world is not the same as the activists out there. We have an immune system. We have a filtration system. Pain is for a reason. The food supply is not poison. And starving your children and yourself of food is not really the answer if you want to live. If you don't care about prolonging your life and your children's lives because you're withholding food from them, why are you an activist to begin with? If you're only going to starve your family and your audience anyways with the fear of food, coffee, cream, meat, milk, cheese, eggs, and everything else under the sun. Like, I don't understand. If you're going to starvation, if you're going to starve your family and you already assume you're going to pass away someday, Why are you a fucking activist? If anything, this should be comfort to you that somebody's going to help you pass away sooner, because you already expect it, and you're starving your kids from food, and your kids are breaking bones. They're highly malnourished, have probably behavior problems. Those should be indicators, but they're not, because remember, you're the all-knowing mommy. You know everything. Yeah, okay, the government will let you think you know everything. They'll let you destroy your own family through your own ignorance. It's not difficult to weaponize people's ignorance against them and their children. It's not difficult at all. Holy shit. Just give them a nice, kind naturopathic, homeopathic, osteopathic, herbalist. Give them a nice, kind, love herbalist out there, remedy person with all of their outfits and garb, and they'll tell you, oh yeah, you're a victim. And they will definitely exploit your victim mentality. And then they will take your money, give you the super antibiotics, because as these frequencies become more excessive and more frequent and aggressive, you will be using their products exponentially, buying more and more and more, till the amount that you're taking as far as your natural remedies and herbs and extracts will be no different than that pharmaceutical grade pill or whatever the pharmaceutical companies are going to sell to their mainstream audience. You will see no difference between the herbalists and the naturopathics to the doctors that are giving people prescription drugs. There'll be no difference as far as the strength and the level of antibiotic. That's why I say, when people recommend antibiotics and elderberry syrup to people and say, oh yeah, it worked, or recommend some pill or some medicine, I just say, I told Tanya, just silently thank them for their service, but they are getting an aggressive form, and they will see how effective these antibiotics really are. And you thank them for their service because, yeah, they don't know any better, and they are the walking dead. And you thank them for their contribution silently. And then you have to be kind of like, I don't say passive aggressive, but you have to say like, well, thank you for your suggestion, but, and I don't allow anyone to promote any of that shit on my Facebook, so I just delete comments that recommend that stuff. But the third world countries, Africa, Indonesia, and all that, they've already been influenced by the herbalists out there, and they're selling all of their super antibiotics to people in the first world. So now you're seeing, like I said before, the third world countries destroy the first world people who have no idea how this shit works, who don't know any better, buying all of their fucking herbs and super antibiotics for our algorithms. Oh, it's pretty crazy. It's like weaponizing your own body against itself. That's what the system is doing, is allowing third world countries and people who don't know any better out here, even in America, weaponize their friends and family against their own friends and family. It's pretty sad, but that's the depopulation agenda. And it's hard for you to talk people out of that because that's what they know. And they've invested years and years in the medical holistic system. They have friends and family worshiping them, bowing down to them, saying that they are saints and gods. And you think they want to relinquish that status in their community? No. So they'll just shut up and they won't say anything. They will not say a damn word. And I understand. You have to pay your bills, even at the expense of the people around you and even at the expense of yourself. And I get it. Some of you have a chance. Others of you do not have a chance. I get it. So when all there is left is your organic garden to eat from, do you really think that you will survive if you already think that chemtrails have tainted the gardens with all the heavy metals and the poisons? Please examine your logic. I mean, I really don't care what you do, but I also know there are some people who I respect a lot who have fallen victim to all of this. They were in the J world, and I'm not trying to save them. And I know they probably don't like me because of the things, not say not like me, but they're like, I can't handle Jillian's logic. Because I've been pretty aggressive about a lot of things. At this point, I don't care. Okay? Either you get it or you don't, and that's fine. And so, but maybe you need to be waking up from being woke. COVID was an algorithm that caused whatever you had inside to wake up. Not only do you feed it, But you also have to release it in such a way that it doesn't destroy you. And you're right about the chemtrails. But you're only destroying yourself by starving your body, mind, and spirit from the necessary foods your body needs to survive this huge accelerated change. And so nothing is poison when you open up your system and feed and release the demons without destroying yourself and deteriorating with age and fear. And so I said closed minds equals closed mouths because you're denying food. So you have actually an eating disorder. And you have a closed immune system. And so then your body will supernova. Either it will just have all-out destruction when an energy comes through and causes a magical whoosh, energy shift, and you have so much growth happen like that, and you don't survive a heart attack or a stroke, or you are starving to death, and those microbes inside that you need to be releasing are eating you out from the inside. And so I said bye to self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why we're not the same. That's why I left those groups, but not really. I observed the groups. Sometimes I'm in these groups, like the ones that I was in way in the beginning, because it is like back full circle, but I'm not really active. I just observe. And I try to drop hints to those that are in those groups because I've been around these people for at least 10 years plus. There's still that part of me that feels loyal to them understanding this. Not that they will, but I mean, that's why I observe, because maybe something will reach them if at all. I mean, it may not, but that's why I still am in some of the groups, but I'm not active. I just observe, just like they're observing me. Okay. So that's why we're not the same. That's why I left those groups, to still observe them, just like they observe me. And so then double down, artificial intelligence. We're giving Hollywood and political leaders and religious leaders and science leaders a break, because the algorithms are going to be the one to control. They've already figured out what algorithms, what imagery, what sound, what taste, all that stuff will control people's predominant hormones at the surface. And so when I was doing those Facebook reels, and I tap into different algorithms, okay? And that's why you have more than just one picture, so you can get that algorithm out so you can see the response you get. Some algorithms are really popular because they speak to certain hormones that are predominant out there in the population, that even I can be attracted to it and want to hear it on loop, okay? And so you'll see then even the sound can control people who don't have control over their own algorithms. The imagery can also program and control people on some level, but having beautiful artwork and flowers and animals and water, that's definitely, far more peaceful than sex and violence and gore and destruction and war, right? And so I have a piece for everybody on those Facebook reels, so you can see how the image and the sounds attract and repel people, and then people can figure out and study themselves why they're attracted or repelled by certain sounds, frequency, and images, and learn about themselves, okay? And so the system understands how to influence specific hormonal behaviors using algorithms and imagery and sound relative to the intention. If you don't release those demons which predominantly drive you and torture you, even those under the influence of their prescription drugs or illicit drugs, it will be even easier to sell you a super antibiotic, natural or otherwise, when the climate changes even more aggressively. Additionally, even extremely biased people in politics, religion, and science are being tortured. That's why they're taking the drugs or diets or supplements or in denial. As a result, and all of the above will be extremely highly suggestible and potentially easily manipulated. Okay? And so when they're promoting when they're circulating those science documents, it says that there's a superbug out there and they're going to have a super antibiotic. What does it mean by superbug? It means that the frequencies are going to be raised to such an extent that everyone will be affected all at once, and it will be aggressive. And you might even be dizzy. If you're already immune to the slight changes are going on, but you feel stuff, but you know how, you're tired, you pull out the shit and you eat food and all that. When there's a major aggressive one, like when I felt dizzy, and I felt like I was drunk, like under the influence of one of my hormones at the surface, there's going to be something like that, that even I'm going to feel it and know what's going on. And when someone else has cancer, disease, and chronic illness or other things lurking in their body, and it's all coming to surface, and everybody in that whole family, not just one person or two, but everybody is feeling it on such a level, guess what they're going to be sold? A super antibiotic. Or they'll be talking to their naturopathic or herbalist, telling them to bring them more of whatever it is that they've been on for the last how many months, years, whatever. These algorithms are forcing people to take the antibiotics to destroy themselves at their own hand. And of course, all the starvation too. That's what I got from all of this now, with the COVID being an algorithm, bringing up all your predisposed issues and anything else that could get out of control because you have never taught how to control your own microbes. And so what are you going to do if you don't understand? You're going to not only starve yourself, but you're going to get a super antibiotic, a super aggressive herbal remedy, or a very aggressive prescription drug. And that was all by fucking design. And so I'm just like, holy shit. I mean, you kind of laugh, but you don't want to laugh. Because now that you know this, even the three of you that understand this shit, now that you know this, you know you can't talk people out of this. But I like observing the logic of people and calling it out. Even though I know I'm not going to reach them because they're too far gone. But even seeing how this game has been played and understanding that the psychological techniques behind it, oh my God, that shows you how strategic these campaigns have been. That shows you forethought. That shows you strategy. That shows you working together, people working together. That shows just patience and time. I mean, those are some really amazing fucking qualities. That if you reverse the intentions, imagine what kind of person you'd be. Okay? That's what is so extraordinary about what's going on, is that you reverse the intentions and you survive it. Now you will see endless possibilities as far as yourself and evolution. You'll survive all this shit unless the nuclear war happens and you happen to be at ground zero. But this is extraordinary. And so I can't even get mad at the system. I just know that I expect the frequencies to go up. I expect to feel the heart palpitations. I expect to eat food. I expect to feel whatever I feel. I expect to even feel drunk like I did again in the future. Like I did a couple weeks ago. I expect to feel dizzy when the frequencies change. I expect all of that. And I will also know what people are going to naturally do based upon what they've been trained in. And then these poor kids don't have a chance. These poor kids don't have a chance. That's what's really sad and crazy about all of this. And even the parents, most parents out there don't have a chance. Because they're already too compromised and invested. And their audience is already too far gone. Their audience will not let them change. And if the person wants to change it, they literally have to get out of the public eye, close off their Facebook accounts, and block their phone number. Because then when they do finally want to change and get out of that, they're going to have to fight everyone that has been following them for years. Literally for years, trying to pull them right back into the death trajectory. And if you're not strong against that tide that you developed yourself, forget it. You're not going to survive. You all will go over. You all will be the Pied Piper. Go over the ship together. That was the intention. And it's extraordinary to actually pick apart the strategy. It was fucking amazing. I really have to hand it to them. I really did. But I had to go through my own bullshit to understand it. And not care what people thought about me. Not care about anything, really. Because if you don't expose yourself on some level to bring in the information and release it, it'll be very easy to fall back into old ways. Very easy. And all the temptations and all the wanting to fit in and all the image and all that shit. It'll be very easy to fall back into that. And so there's something to be said to literally develop that boundary, even if it's like stuff that is that would repel people. A lot of ways you want to repel a lot of people away from you. And so facing yourself is a natural repellent against the demons out there. Like literally, facing yourself will repel the demons that are out there. And that's going to take extraordinary strength and substance and perseverance, because the algorithms are only going to get stronger and more frequent and more aggressive. And again, if you don't have what it takes and the infrastructure, the support system around you, it will be torture, and you'll be fighting not only your friends and your family and your old life, but you'll be fighting yourself. And if you don't have, again, the substance, you won't survive it. You won't survive the battle. And so that's why it's so important to make sure you have an excellent support system around you, because fighting your husband or wife or friends and family and associates, it's virtually impossible for people to do that. They can't fight their own friends and family. They can't. They refuse to. That's their people. That was built in. And so me not having a family per se was actually my saving grace. Me not having a close-knit family was my fucking saving grace. So my mom, and actually, she saved me a lot of ways. You know, I went through some shit, yes, but she saved me from not falling into wanting to have that validation from a close-knit family. She saved me from not wanting to fall into being popular and being an influencer and being whatever. I just am trying to survive my fucking society. Survive the people around me that want me to be like them. And when I wasn't going to, it's easy for me to walk away. It has been. But, you know, when it's people are next to you, you're fighting. That was the ultimate test in the J world, was fighting the people next to me. I had to stop the fight, so I walked away. I let them walk away. I set them free. I mean, you set them free, because I could easily been like, you know, not say anything and easily just kept within whatever and played the passive aggressive, trying to get them to change, and they were not going to change. And so there'd be that undercurrent of a battle. Then we'd have the whole fakiness. No, I had to walk away and set them free. Let them figure it out. And so that's the battle we're in. And it's a battle you can't see unless you're willing to open up your eyes and see it. And it requires a lot, of which, sadly, not everybody has enough to do it. But I hope they do. But many don't. Some of these are kids. They don't have what it takes. They won't have what it takes. And it's sad. All right, bye.